All right, there's been a big moment in sports that has caught the world's attention. A recent moment in college basketball in the US, where Brenda Frese, a championship winning coach at the University of Maryland, was firmly challenging the player Oluchi Okananwa during a high pressure game. And you know what? Everyone has zoomed into that moment of the coach really screaming and asserting herself in front of that player, even poking that player on the chest and saying, I don't know what she was saying. She was saying something because we couldn't really see what was going on there. But a lot of people have been saying, is she right for doing that? And after that, they were just speaking, and the player was saying, look, I love being coached hard. It's just the way I love being coached. And the coach was saying, we have a relationship, and this is something that we know that when we do it, it's part of the game. But, let's shift this into beyond high performance, whether this is something that we can actually do, be coachable. And what does being coachable actually mean? Some people saying that coachability separates the average from the exceptional. We've got Seun Dawodu, who is a clarity coach and author from Nigeria, joining us on the line. Seun, thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa.
Morning, how are you?
I'm good. I mean, I don't know if did you see that moment, that coaching moment?
Well, I saw it. Yes, I did.
What did you think about it from that initial moment? Because someone would say, hey, this is a little bit too harsh. Others would say, that's just part of the game.
All right, so it's nice to be here. First of all, I went back to watch the video again and again because I needed to really know what was happening, right? And I found out that they definitely have a relationship. And there was a particular clip I saw that was able to read the lips of the coach, and there was nothing that she said that was toxic. So I think that's where the challenge is. Initially, when I heard tough coaching or hard coaching, my brain nearly froze because coaching has to be based on a relationship, and if they have a relationship that allows that sort of dynamics, I think it was okay. There was nothing that the coach said that I felt was out of line. Nothing.
I'm glad that you said coaching is based on a relationship, and outside of the sports field, understanding our coachability also relates to who is the coach. But we all can't be coached the same. I mean, we saw that moment with Coach Brenda Frese. The whole world, everyone on social media saw that moment. But we saw that moment because it seemed quite specific to that particular player. And every player needs a different way of being coached. So when we're speaking about coachability, let's start with the coach itself. How should the coach see the person that they're coaching? How should they adjust their thinking to coach that person as they need to be coached, not particularly just because they coach in that particular way?
I'm not entirely sure that the coach coaches in that particular way. Like the player said, I like to be coached like this, and I've told the coach this is how I want to be coached.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's individuals. Every coaching relationship has to be prefixed or prefitted to the individual in coaching, right? Because there are people who are coming from a particular, background or perspective that's not something that they're used to, right? But it doesn't mean that you leave them where they are. I think that's the beauty of coaching. People are coming from a particular background where they are very laid back, it's very easy, cheesy for them, right? But if as a coach you see the potential, right, and what you want to do is pull the potential out of them, right? Not necessarily by what this coach did was raise a voice, and poke the player in the chest because they have that relationship. But because you know that this person has the capacity, has the potential to move from where they are to the next place, you're not going to leave them on that level of, oh, just get this done. Sometimes you would almost pull the rug from underneath them just to let them stand in a place where they're not used to, move them from their comfort zone to a place where you know that if they dare to move into that phase, there's a possibility for them to get even to a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important to say that. But now let's focus on the other side, because the actual conversation we're having is about our coachability. In the world that we live in, sometimes we get to choose who our coaches become. Sometimes we're just in an environment where, there are people in leadership that we're seeing as our coach. So as an individual, if you're taking on someone or looking at someone as your coach, how should you be navigating that relationship? Because, like the player said in the Brenda Frese situation, she said, I like to be coached this way. So how should you place your expectations on your coach? What is the conversation you should be having with your coach to say, this is how I like to be coached?
Okay, there are again, in coaching, there are two sides to the coin, right? There's the coach and there's the one who wants to be coached. For coaching to be effective, both of them must agree on how it should work, right? The coach, most likely the senior person, has a particular way that they have been doing it and has been working for them, right? So if a coachee, somebody who wants to be coached by that person, approaches that person, there are certain things that you want to learn from that person. Maybe not everything, but there are certain things you want to learn from that person. There are certain levels that you're aspiring to, that you see that this person can help you into, right? As someone who wants to be coached, you do not have that privilege to tell the person how they should treat you that is different from their own way of coaching you, except you have a relationship that works, right? If you have a relationship that works, then they can take into account the fact that, okay, you don't want this kind of coaching, you want this kind of coaching. It's based on their own capacity. Okay, you know what? I can take you on. I can do this with you. Same thing with the player. When you join, if you're in a team, right? You can't tell the player, you can't tell your coach me differently, right? Except you have a relationship, and then the coach sees that there's potential in this. Again, this is because the player, the team player, and I'm not referring just to that game alone. I'm referring to the generality.
Sure.
You find out that in a team there are different kinds of people, right? There are people who you would give feedback to, and they take the feedback and they're able to run with it, right? And there are people that you give feedback to, and then sometimes you have to go back to them and say, what's the problem? Because they are stuck in the feedback you've given them. Right? That's why there's no one size fits all.
Sure.
True coaching, there's no one size fits all. It's now dependent on the person who wants to be coached. You say, you know what? The reason why I want to be coached is because I aspire to a new level. Right? Am I ready to give what it takes to get to that level?
Yeah.
That's usually where the challenge is. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting, because that's what I was saying earlier on, that it's very interlinked between the coach and the person who wants to be coached, yeah. Right? The coachee. Yeah. And that's where, there's going to be discomfort when you get coached. There's also going to be discomfort when you are coaching. It's never going to be an easy process. There's always going to be friction. I think we live in a world that always avoids that friction. And we're not making a better world if we're running away from the difficult conversations. We'll deal with that, the difficult conversations that I have to have. Because I think some people, when they go through being really coached, go through those difficult moments, having those difficult conversations, then they say, you know what, I don't want to be coached by this person because it's not what I expected, right? But coaching is not easy, and to be coached is not easy. We'll unpack that after the break.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa on the move.
Coach understands I'm a competitor at heart, and I've told her this before, and I'll keep on telling her this until forever. I love to be coached hard, and that's what she does with me every single day. And really what that was a regroup moment for myself, and her telling me she believed in me. because sometimes that's really all you need to hear to get back out there. You know, it's a long game, lots of ups and downs, and I feel like after that conversation, that's when I really went back out and just did what I had to do for my team in that moment. So I'm forever appreciative of that.
I love that. We've been speaking about the moment between Coach Brenda Frese, Maryland coach Brenda Frese, and Oluchi Okananwa. And that was the voice of Oluchi Okananwa after that basketball game where we saw her coach Brenda Frese sort of get in her face, give her a big passionate moment of coaching that really changed the trajectory of her play and the game as well. And we're still speaking about that coachability here on the show, and exactly, you know, what can take you from average to the next level if you are coachable. We are still speaking with this to this conversation with Seun, Dawodu, who is a clarity coach and author, joining us from Nigeria. It's a beautiful moment to see a hard moment like that, Seun, being, you know, translated from the player's side to say, this is actually something that I really appreciate. And sometimes when the coach and coachee relationship is taking place, there are very hard moments that can take place where one can say, I appreciate the harshness, or some people say, I am going to walk away from this. This is not what I need. What separates those two moments?
Again, if we're looking at it from the perspective of the player, I really don't think that was a harsh moment. Really, I don't think it was a harsh moment. I think it was a moment where she raised her voice, and we have to be very careful how we look at that. You know, you can raise your voice, and it's not harsh. It can be stern, it can be passionate, it can be all of that, but not necessarily harsh. And I'm saying that because one, because of the relationship they had. Two, because of the message she wanted to pass across. Three, there's the way the player likes to be pushed, or likes to be encouraged, or likes to be motivated. And the coach, what the coach simply did was deep into that, right, to push her into the next phase. Now there are people who are averse to, and I don't encourage or subscribe to the harsh coaching. I don't subscribe to it, because it's the way you raise children. There are ways that as a parent you would at some point in your life be the best coach for your child, should be the best coach for your child.
Sure.
You would stop being just a father, you stop being a mentor, and you'll be a coach. Because there's some characteristics of a coach that a father must have to be able to say, you know what, this child, I see the potentials, I see what you're able to do, I see what you can do. But when you go to school and you come back, you're not in the top percentile of your class. Right? As a coach, as a father, you then say to that child, you know what, let me sit down with you, let's see what the challenge is, let's look at it, let's do this. So why don't you start doing this? Why don't you start doing this? Pay attention to those. And that's coaching. Really, that's coaching. It's the same thing at work, but you don't want to push that child forward, move that child forward by being harsh. Right? What you tap into that child's potential and help that child to move into the next level.
Yeah, it's not always going to be comfortable and easy.
Oh no. Doesn't mean that it's going to be comfortable.
You know, because you'll have those difficult questions. I think we live in a world that's highly sanitized. People love correctness, right? And that's why I think that particular video was circulating highly.
Right.
Those moments have been seen so many times. I also think there's a gender issue there, because it was a woman being very assertive to another woman. I think that's also what caught attention there. But we've seen those moments with male coaches all the time, whether it's in different fraternities, right? But hard conversations are to be had. And I think that's where the nuggets of great coaching lie, right?
Yes.
And I think because we want things to look a particular way, that's why we run away from that. But coaching is never comfortable, Seun.
Coaching is never comfortable. It's not even comfortable sometimes for the coach, right? You see potential in the person you're coaching, and they're slagging. they're lagging, they're not pushing themselves. There are times that you would have to have that very hard conversations with them and say, do you want this or not? Right? If you don't want this, then don't waste my time. Right? That's because you see the possibilities in them. They may see it also, but to do the work or to cross the gap between being and doing is a challenge for them, right? So one of the things that I say to people to help them move to that place where they can take difficult conversations a little bit more easily is one of the agreements from the 4 agreements by Don Miguel. I absolutely love that agreement, and it's don't take things personally, right? And I feel that once you're able to move into that arena where you don't take everything that's done to you personally, and that's because maybe where you're coming from, you're already used to a particular way. If you start saying things differently, this person is not attacking me because of something. They want something for me. There's something they see in me. I stop taking things personally. You're not your emotions are not on your skin, literally. Then you're able to have those conversations, see beyond what it is they're saying, to see beyond how they're saying it to what they're saying, pick on what it is that is good and can help you move to the next level, and it's fine. Difficult conversations are hard. If you don't have those conversations, I don't believe that you'll be able to move one to the next level or be able to strengthen the relationship that you currently have.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up the conversation, I want to actually find out, is there such a thing as someone not being coachable? Or could it just perhaps be that in this environment, this person is not thriving? So within this coach and coachee environment, this person is not thriving. Are there people that aren't coachable? Or is it just the wrong environment? Should that person move on from that environment and find a different one, maybe one that helps them thrive? Or would they just say, yeah, maybe I really am uncoachable. I'm not doing well with this.
For me, coachability is a mindset. It is a mindset. I don't believe there's no one that cannot be coached. Just because the coaching is not working with a particular coach doesn't mean you can't find someone that has the coaching style that can work for you, right? But the most important thing is you deciding that you really want to be coached. If you don't decide that you want to be coached, you will keep coming up with one excuse or the other with every single coach you have to work with. That's the truth.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. This has been an incredible conversation. Much. And I think an important one for us to sort of take in our own lives and think, well, are there moments that I have been uncoachable? How do I change and how do I level up the next time I'm trying to, try the coach-coachee relationship out? Where can we go to find you?
I'm on Twitter. I am Olaki. I'm trying TikTok. Not my thing.
Good.
Come on, try. It actually works. I mean, Pali has tried to convince me to do it. I tried a little bit of it, and it was kind of worthwhile, and you get a lot of traction there. So try it.
Yes, I'm there. My email address is THESEUN Dawodu. That's THE before the name at Gmail.
Thank you so much. That's Clarity Coach and author Seun Dawodu speaking to us about coachability. It's 10:30. Musibudi Makura is back with our sports.
Sports.